G'day and welcome to another video from the Wimbledon channel on Pompeii and Herculaneum. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of artifacts we've found at Pompeii and Herculaneum, which were at the excellent Escape from Pompeii exhibit at the Australian National Maritime Museum. This has ended. We were allowed to take a whole bunch of videos and photos, so I've put some of these up here so that you can have a look at them and it might help you up for exams. Most of these have been lent by the National Archaeological Museum at Napoli and also by the Superintendent of Archaeology at Pompeii. So thank you to both of them. Also, a whole bunch of the information that I'm going to use was simply using the captions from the exhibit. So thank you to the Australian National Maritime Museum as well. Let's begin, and we're going to look at household items today. Starting with some stunning jewelry. This is called a catena. It's a long gold body chain that was found at Pompeii. Probably this was worn over the shoulders or perhaps around the waist. It is gold. It would have been a lot of money. Next, we're finding a snake armlet. You can see it there. It would have been held up on the right up on the arm. Most people took their gold jewelry with them. It was expensive and it's portable, so you could convert it into cash. So we've got similar armlets to this, which have a weight in gold that was more than a soldier's yearly pay. So we're talking about a lot of money wrapped in people's arms. So having lost everything in the eruption, or their house, or their business, all their farms, etc., having one of these would have obviously been pretty good for setting you back up on your feet. After that, there's another beautiful little gold bracelet here, quite intricate in detail. This style with the two rows of gold hemispheres was very popular, and it was therefore replicated in cheaper metal than just gold, but this one is gold. Following that, we've also got an emerald and pearl necklace. This also would have been worth a lot of money. Our friend Pliny records that emeralds were mined at Kaptos, which is in Egypt, and the main source of pearls was from the Indian Ocean. So Rome had a whole bunch of different sources for gold, but most of it came from northern Spain, a place called Asturias, the main gold producing area in the world at that time. Next, we have this really intricate Isis Fortuna pendant. So it's showing you've got a mixture of religion along with the influence of Egyptian culture on Pompeii. So Isis there, she's holding a rudder, if you look in close, to steer the fortunes of humanity. And she's also, it's a cornucopia, which symbolizes wealth and abundance. So yeah, and as I said, Egyptian influence. Originally, she's an Egyptian goddess, and she'd been transformed into this Greco-Roman goddess of good fortune. Note as well, on the right-hand side, you've got a snake head hook, which is another good luck charm. So this would have been a lot of good luck for the person wearing it, obviously until a mountain erupted right near them and they died. Next, we've got a pretty expensive item as well. This was an ointment jar made of alabaster. This was a very, very much a luxury stone, used particularly for ointments because the stone preserved the contents really well. Pliny says it was sourced from Egypt and Syria, but the best was imported from India and in modern Iran. So there you go. Now, most of these items before the eruption would have been kept in one of these. So this is a strong box made from metal. They called it an arca, A-R-C-A. It's a lockable strong box for storing your money and your valuables. It was often placed in the atrium, so that's the public area of the house, and it was a display of your wealth and your power. Remember, the Pompeians and Herculaneans loved to show off how successful they were. This one is pretty amazing, actually. It's decorated with a worshipper offering a sacrifice at an altar to the cult statue of a god. We're not sure which one, but it looks quite impressive, and certainly would have looked impressive in the atrium. And here's some keys. A bronze key and an iron key. These would have been used to lock said box or a similar type of thing. Not knowing what was happening, people left. They thought maybe we might be coming back. So some of the victims that we found took the keys with them in the hope that they could come back, open their strong boxes when they returned, and all of their valuables would still be there. Next, we have a stunning fresco. This is of Narcissus. Remember, Narcissus is that guy that was seduced by his own reflection. You can see it there at the bottom of the painting, right at the bottom. That's his reflection. Narcissus is a pretty popular subject in Pompeii. His spurned lover, Echo, is there in the background, loitering. The panel would have been the work of a painting specialist called an Imaginarius. Pliny tells us that the client would have supplied the bright colours because they were the most expensive. To give you an example, red lead was 70 denarii per pound, and red ochre, which the artist supplied, was like 2. So big difference there, and obviously if your painting is relatively bright, you're showing off your wealth once again. And a perfect way of showing it off was to light it. So here we've got 3 lamps. These were made with molds. So I'm going to show you some more expensive lamps later on, but these would have made simply through the mold. And a lamp workshop has been found in Pompeii. So they had a kiln in it and 17 molds. So it gave choice to the customer, which mold would you like to use. They also imported better quality terracotta lamps, like this next one. So this is a lamp with a crescent moon handle. This is made from ceramic. They used olive oil. It was quite effective actually as a lighting fuel. All it needed was a little wick of either linen or cotton, and the oil burnt relatively slowly. Didn't produce that much oil or soot, and it won't continue burning if it's spilled. So the central hole there is where they poured the oil in, you can see it, and the other end is for the lighted wick. Another good thing is oil that had gone rancid could still be used for lighting. So you don't have to worry you couldn't use it for food, but you could still use it for lamp oil. That handle there is also another example of Egyptian influence in Pompeian culture. That is of the god Zeus Ammon above an eagle. Next we have a very cool lamp. This is a monkey dressed as a gladiator. How good's that? This is from you might want to call it Roman visual humour. This lamp was found in the house of Fabius Rufus. Other lamps and lanterns were found with victims, probably because it was so dark. So we found a whole bunch of lamps being used because they were trying to find their way around. So we found a whole bunch of lamps near the victims. Here, however, these would have been in the home. That's a table lamp stand. What it is, it's a centaur leaping between 2 tree trunks. So pretty cool. I'll show you a bit of a better detail one. There it is. The discs at the end of the branches would have held a lamp on each one of those, and according to his nephew, Pliny the Elder could get by with a minimum of sleep because he worked by lamplight in his private studies from midnight to just before dawn when he'd call upon the emperor, who was also an early riser. So a little bit of name dropping there from Pliny's nephew. Next we have a candelabrum. Beautiful thing, very, very stunning kind of piece of artwork. These were very popular in wealthy Pompeian homes. Pliny tells us in Natural History that Aegina, that's an island in Greece, specialised in making the upper parts, while Tarentum, which is in southern Italy, made the stems. So you had your first example of global trade. We've got one, we've got the other, and we'll put it together. A lot of money could have been spent on them. Pliny notes, as much as a military tribune's yearly pay. That is an expensive way of lighting your home, but a great way of showing off your wealth as well. And finally, I love this. This is a rostrum stud. So the rostrum became a kind of a symbol of victory for the Romans. They captured rostra, then they decorated the speaker's platform at Rome like a wreath crowning the Roman nation, Pliny says, which basically gave the rostra its name because there were so many rostrum there showing we've defeated these guys and these guys and these guys. This one was probably holding back the curtains. So it's a lovely way of saying to your house guests, look at this. It's quite detailed, and this is a symbol of victory, and it's in your household. So there's some great artifacts that show us a whole bunch about Roman culture, what they put in their homes, how they lit their homes, and some of the wealth that you find in Pompeii, as well as the influence of Egyptian culture in some of those pendants and also in some of the lamps as well. So hopefully that's helpful. Have a look at some of my other videos if you're also checking out Pompeii and Herculaneum and studying for exams, and all the best.